We're jumping right into it. Chivalry 2's received a new update in the form of Update 2.8, Raiding Party. This is a full overview of all the changes and content added. Let's go. First things first, Chivalry 2 is coming to PlayStation Plus. From May 2nd to June 5th, you'll be able to play Chivalry 2 at no extra cost to PlayStation Plus members. You know what that means, men. Another 2 weeks of seal clubbing. It is my pleasure to announce that cross-platform parties are officially being implemented into Chivalry 2 as a beta feature. No need to dance around the truth here. Cross-platform parties will be possible with the new update, but Torn Banner is obviously not confident in their stability or functionality, so the implementation is being dubbed a beta until all the kinks can be worked out. One step behind as usual, but I must commend their work ethic. This new feature involves having a unique friend code tied to each player which can be used to add friends. Once added, players can invite each other and create parties like normal, regardless of platform. A new campaign pass has been introduced into the game. As with the last one, you can expect to receive a few free items from this campaign pass, with the majority of the content being locked behind a paywall. But just as with the last one, there is no time sensitivity with the pass, and a new interface has been added to allow you to select which campaign pass you'd like to work toward completing in your matches. I'll showcase the content included in the pass on screen now to let you determine for yourself whether or not this update's pass is worth it. As with everything Torn Banner puts out, I'll be purchasing it regardless to support them in their studio. Oh, and remember that community vote that was held ages ago over which weapon Torn Banner should make skins for next? Well, the War Axe won, and the Halberd was a close second, so they decided to make skins for both of them. To be honest, this community choice customization thing gives me Minecraft mob vote vibes, and I don't like it. I don't really feel like I have any say, and if I were to use my influence to change people's opinions and make them vote a certain way, it would make me feel like a scumbag. So either way, I lose. The elephant in the room, the new team objective map, the sacking of Bridgetown. This is the first map in the game which allows Agatha and Tenosia to fight against each other. Hoping for an LTS map next. This map also takes place in an old map from Chivalry 1, lore-wise. Obviously, the maps are nothing alike, but I love to see callbacks to the original game. I'll be giving a more thorough opinion of this map when I make my map tier list video in the future. Coming soon. Here are all the customization changes, fixes, and additions. Important notes will be highlighted. Here are all the map changes and fixes. In an odd turn of events, the takedown threshold has been reduced from 50 to 25. They gave this whole spiel about why this was done, but in reality, they just want players who are using the longbow to get more takedowns. I don't really see the purpose of this, as it's just going to make 100 takedown games significantly more common. The width of the parry hitbox has increased slightly to apparently improve its effectiveness against late stab drags. I really don't see the purpose of this, even if it might help slightly with side hits. I genuinely enjoyed how if you weren't facing an attack head on, you weren't able to block it, and I believe it created more skillful gameplay that required accuracy with your blocks. So, I'm not too much of a fan of this change, but we'll see how it is. Jabs are having the horizontal size of their hitbox slightly reduced. I really don't understand the meaning behind this change. I understand the purpose is to somewhat restore jabs to the point that they were at before, where you could reasonably avoid them by leaning and using footwork, but I don't believe that this is the right direction. I don't see why we can't just restore them to how they were previously. I'm willing to give this new change a chance and see how it works, but if I don't see a significant difference, or if it doesn't feel like it did before the Thaik Stronghold update, then I'm obviously going to continue to suggest that they restore it to how it was before Thaik. So this is one of the more interesting buffs, but the heavy and medium shield will now be able to block all projectiles when equipped from the back. If you weren't aware, before this update, medium and heavy shields actually blocked arrows and some throwables, but they never blocked, for example, a Dane axe or a longsword that was thrown your way. Now, no matter what's thrown at you, as long as it hits the shield hitbox on your back rather than, let's say, your big toe or your arms, then you'll be fine and it'll be okay. So I think that's a very reasonable buff. These are the general changes and fixes. There's nothing really important here besides one change. The change where they say they addressed an exploit where players could attack faster than combos through spamming counter inputs into blocks. Now, the dev team has a really bad habit here of always addressing something that they don't like 2 years later down the line as an exploit and then changing it. If you don't like it and you want to change it, that's fine, but don't say it's an exploit. This is how it's been working the entire time with no confusion. What this will do is it will nerf a technique which many people like to call machine gunning, where rather than comboing like normal, you cancel recovery after you've attacked something successfully, that is, as in not missing, and then you initiate an attack again in the form of a counter. And nerfing this, in my opinion, is not the right decision. Although it can be a little bit jarring to fight the Danax noob who just dodge spams and swings constantly with the alt counter attempt, I do believe that it's valid gameplay. So, gonna have to say, I don't like this. This update introduces one new weapon in the form of the Heavy Cavalry Sword, a slow, long-range one-handed weapon available for the Man-at-Arms and the Guardian. I'm gonna go more in depth on this weapon in a weapon mastery video, but all you gotta know is that, not that good. Is it good on Cavalry? We'll find out. Ugh, I never thought I'd see the day, but the Katars have finally received their long-deserved buff. Not only have they added tracers to a few of the final frames of pretty much every attack on the weapon, but they've also doubled the leaping strike damage just as I suggested in the feedback forum. Didn't actually think anyone reads those. And they supposedly decreased stamina drain when blocking attacks. What did they decrease it to? I have no idea. I asked the developers and none of them will answer me. So I really don't know. Apparently, they made the headbutt timing faster to match it more in line with jab. And I would have rather had increased damage to increase it to the damage that normal headbutt offers, since it had normal headbutt speed, but this is fine, I guess. Although this is an amazing buff for the Katar, it still isn't enough. Katars still need to have jab collision on headbutt, and they also need to be able to feint to a headbutt. I know that sounds silly, but unfortunately, feint to jab is an absolutely necessary technique at high-level duels, and the Katar are a dueling weapon. So these features need to be added, and then the Katar can be considered reasonable and in a decent place. These next changes have me conflicted. On the one hand, I'm extremely happy that the Heavy Mace and the Poleaxe have had their stamina drain negation reduced from 20% to 10%, as I believe that was an absolutely necessary change, at least for the Heavy Mace. But for the Quarterstaff, reducing its stamina drain negation to 10%, how is it going to be useful anymore? It's going to be completely redundant because the Heavy Mace is just going to do its job, but better. Although the Quarterstaff might have some good interplay with the quick swings and the mediocre overheads and stabs, I don't see why you would use it over the Heavy Mace or the Poleaxe anymore, assuming it has the same stamina drain negation. It's created this situation where the Quarterstaff is a redundant weapon. Now, what would make it not redundant is if you could use it on a class like Man-at-Arms, but apparently Torn Banner's not ready for that yet. Maybe one day. Regardless, I don't see what this weapon, what point this weapon serves anymore, now that it's basically just a worse version of the Heavy Mace. They might have to nerf the Heavy Mace further into the ground, but I don't believe that's necessary. I believe that they should actually just put the Quarterstaff on Man-at-Arms. That way it would serve a different purpose, rather than trying to fulfill the same role, but worse, as it is right now. This next change is actually quite a simple one. Basically, before the update, when you tried to actually refill your ammunition from an ammo box, it would not automatically take out your throwables. This doesn't seem like a really big deal, but taking out your throwables just takes an extra half second, which you really don't want to do. And you can't really like frame perfect press it like you can in other games. So you actually have to wait a little half second after you're done reloading and then pull out your throwable. But other classes seemingly did get their throwable immediately after reloading it from an ammo box. So it was like, what gives? Now there's more consistency as throwing axes, throwing knives, and javelins all immediately are pulled out as soon as you refill at an ammo box. And I guarantee you that's just going to make these classes feel much more seamless, a little bit more smooth, just going in, going out. It just takes a half second off of your game, which doesn't sound like it means much, but it really just feels a lot better. And obviously the developers agreed with me here. So glad to see that change made. Besides a few dozen bugs, that concludes the update. Regarding the nitty-gritty of the sack of Bridgetown and the heavy cavalry sword and horses on line spire, I'm not really going to go over that in detail in this video, but like I said, I'll be making future videos very soon regarding all of that stuff. Now, was this update good enough? I think so. I think it was a good update. It definitely improved a lot about the game, and the bounce decisions, while I don't agree with everything, I think in general they were good. But what I would like to see is obviously them getting started on the Holy Trinity. We've already had this discussion many times as a channel, but private servers, mod support, ranked play, if you're not adding one of those three, you're just wasting my time, to be honest. And this, as great of an update it is a filler update that will simply rejuvenate the player base for a bit, and then the retention will decline as it always does. I don't know how many times I have to say this. I commend them because, as I expected, they produce incredibly high quality content, as they always will. But when it comes to actually improving the foundation of the game to make sure that we are here for the long haul, they have yet to deliver. And we're hitting the 2-year mark for this game. And we're hitting the over a decade mark for the franchise. So we need to see some serious improvements, because for the past 2 years, it feels like we've been building up to what the original game was, rather than surpassing it and creating a truly breathtaking sequel that completely reshapes the gaming industry. And I know that Torn Banner are capable of it. I don't know why people don't expect the best from them, right? Like, you can't, I don't understand why people have such low standards for them. I mean, for heaven's sake, we're getting excited over the ability to party with your friends. Like, our standards have really gotten low from this Stockholm Syndrome. I want to go beyond crossplay parties and think more about, ranked play, clan integration in the game. I think that people need to expand their scope, because Chivalry 2 is something special, and it does not deserve to sit by the wayside and slowly dwindle players until we're in the triple digits of concurrent player count. So, with that being said, thank you very much for the update, Torn Banner. As always, great content, but I expect more. So, get back to work. Have a good one, everyone.